Welcome to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show, where you get advice you can trust from the Capital Region's leading experts in real estate and all related fields. From the latest real estate trends to the best mortgage rates, from curb appeal to home warranty, this is the talk show that will help you save and make the most when it comes to buying or selling your most valuable asset. Now, here's your host, broker and founder of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, the property shop, John Bevilacqua.
Good morning. Good morning, everybody. Johnny G in the house.
Hey, man. How you doing?
What's up, my man?
All right.
How you doing? We got tomatoes and basil out there. Like it's the fall harvest is coming early.
Yeah, I've kind of had my fill this summer.
And Magic,
but it's nice. I like it,
yeah, tomatoes are good, man. Tomatoes
Absolutely. Good year for him.
We got big Mike Demasi over here from the Albany Business
Welcome,
Review.
Mike.
Thank you.
What's up, Mike?
Guys again.
Good to see you. Yeah, we got Mike's, I think this is your third show now, huh?
Yep.
Yeah, third show. We got some action-packed real estate news.
You do?
I like having Mike on the show because he brings some good good articles and informative real estate deals, transactions. We got a cool development project to talk about this morning. I think complements. I think the first show Mike came on and we talked about the old Central Warehouse there in downtown Albany.
Right.
And then we touched on the proposed soccer stadium. And today we actually might have two topics. I don't know if we're going to have time for the second one because you know how fast this show goes.
Yeah.
But the first project is an adaptive reuse of an old shoddy warehouse on the banks of the Hudson River, on the Rensselaer side, actually, Johnny.
Oh. Okay.
And
trying to think of what that is.
Well, we're going to get into all that. Yeah. We're going to talk about that. Mike's got a ton of info for us, but but yeah, before we do that, we're going to take a quick sponsor break, and we're going to get into some good development talks with Mike Demasi from the Albany Business Review.
To schedule an appointment with John Bevilacqua to help you buy or sell your home, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. John will be right back with more of the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show here on Magic 100.5 and AM 590.
Hey, it's John Tesh. If you're thinking of selling your home, let me take the stress out of deciding which agent to hire. In the Capital Region, the agent I recommend is John Bevilacqua, founder of Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty at the Property Shop. So for 2 decades, John has helped more than 2,500 families buy and sell the place they call home. That's a solid track record, one that's backed up by dozens of 5-star reviews. Hello. In fact, John is so confident in his marketing system to attract the right buyer for your home that he guarantees to sell it at a price and deadline you agreed to, or he's going to buy it himself for cash. And he provides that guarantee in writing. The agent I trust is John Bevilacqua, and he's the agent you should trust too. His name is his promise. Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty. So write this number down. It's 518-957-SOLD. That's easy. 518-957-7653. Or go to JohnnyHasTheBuyers.com. I love that one. JohnnyHasTheBuyers.com, and you'll get your home sold guaranteed.
Buying or selling the place you call home can be stressful. When you have questions, you don't want to wait for answers. Well, for 20 years, Kim Salerno and her team at Salerno Law have built a solid reputation with buyers, sellers, and real estate agents as fast, respectful communicators. They know Salerno Law will protect their rights and respond quickly when a question arises. Trust Salerno Law. Call 518-309-3404 and check out their 5-star reviews at SalernoLawNY.com.
Hi, I'm Matt Moore from Moore Insurance Services in Clifton Park. Let me take the stress out of quoting your home and auto insurance. We represent over 10 companies, which allows us to find the best coverage at the best prices. We've been helping families in the Capital District save money on their insurance for over 10 years. You can count on a quick turnaround as well as great communication every time. Give me a call at 518-280-1452 or go online to moreinsurancesvc.com and experience the difference. That's moreinsurancesvc.com.
If you're buying or selling your home and would like to schedule an appointment with John, call 518-957-SOLD or go to JohnnyHasTheBuyers.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show and your host, John Bevilacqua.
Okay, guys, we are back. We're back with Mike Demasi from the Albany Business Review. Mike and I are going to share a good story with you about a conversion, a warehouse property that's going to be turned into some apartments. And it's ironic that the name of the building, Mike, is what? The Old Shoddy Mill?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, exactly. And for
like it.
yeah, I mean, for many, many years, I think listeners would probably recognize this building if you're driving north on 787 coming out of downtown Albany, and you were to look over the river to the Rensselaer side. Right. You saw this big old building, and it had the word Hilton written across the top.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Right, yeah. Now, it's not the Hilton sign is gone, but that was probably the way that a lot of people maybe recognize it or saw it. So that was because it was owned for a period of time by this guy named Art Hilton, who owned a chain of music stores in the area.
That music,
okay. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Hilton Music, okay.
And he actually rented out the mill for years to musicians, an architect, mechanics, photographer, like just a variety of things. But it obviously the building's got a much, much longer history. It actually was built like in the late 1800s, originally as a brewery. And then in the early 1900s, it became what was called then the William Barnett and Son Shoddy Mill.
Okay.
Now, I didn't know what shoddy was when I first started learning about this, but shoddy is basically like old rags and leftover fabric that gets ground up, and then that material, is used to kind of like for mattress stuffing, or maybe for like army blankets and all kinds of different products. Yeah. So the mill functioned like that for decades. Interestingly, after my story ran, I actually heard from a guy whose dad worked as a mill superintendent for 44 years. And he told me that the word shoddy was considered derogatory.
Okay.
Like the workers there didn't like to be known as people that worked at a shoddy mill. And he told me the preferred term was remanufacturer of textiles. Okay. Yeah. Right. So anyways, the mill wound up.
Could that whole, word phrase "shoddy" came from this building originally?
From that material,
from
that
the
type of process.
Yeah, my sense is it came from that material. Yeah. The name for that material.
Right, because that couldn't have been the only place that produced shoddy, right?
Yeah.
So,
right.
Okay. Yeah. I don't pretend to know the whole history of shoddy in the United States.
We're learning, right?
So, anyways, the mill closed in the 1970s, and about I don't know how many people were working at it at the time. And relocated down south.
When I always looked at that building, Mike, I always feel like it should have been like a place where like artists convened, or I just always had that vibe to it. To me, I don't know.
Sure, I think different people had ideas for it over the years. I mean, I don't know, 5, 6, 7 years ago or so, I talked to somebody that wanted to turn it into like a microbrewery. Okay. But long story short, the building was purchased by some local people, and they wound up forming a partnership with BBL. BBL is one of the biggest commercial construction companies and developers in the area. And so they came up with this concept of let's renovate this old mill and let's turn it into market rate apartments and I think about like 20,000 square feet of commercial space that, maybe could include like a restaurant or maybe like boat services, because it's right along the Hudson River.
It literally is right on the water. So having a marina or some sort of slip space there would be ideal.
So I can imagine the views from across the river looking at Albany must be pretty good.
Yeah, they are. Yeah. When I went for
good point,
especially at night,
a site tour, it is pretty remarkable to see the views from there.
Neat.
But also just to see how much that building had deteriorated. I mean, you can just imagine sitting empty for that long.
Sure.
And to me, I've walked through a lot of old buildings over the years with real estate investors and developers, and when you see it like in the form that it's in or the shape that it's in, and how much work has to get done, and you say to yourself, man, why would anybody do this? If somebody has the vision and they've got the money, right, they can save an old building and turn it into something new, right?
Yeah, those are my favorite
rather than
projects,
getting demolished.
That's great.
They're to bring back to life the history, and even if some of that retail space did become a microbrewery, right? Because there's going to be enough retail down there to do something like that. Because microbreweries aren't that big anymore to have to fill the whole entire retail space, but how cool is that to bring it back to its original use? If it was a brewery back in the 1800s, and now it's modern day brewery plus apartments. I think that's a great story.
No, that's great.
Yeah. So they estimate it's like a $27 million project, and they were able to get some, like different funding sources. They got some historic tax credits. They got money from New York State. They got some tax exemptions from the local IDA. So that all helps make this financially viable for them.
Yeah. Wasn't there some pollution there that still had to be taken care of? Right?
Yeah, there was some soil contamination, because you can just imagine all the different activities that went on there over the years.
Yeah, sure.
So there was an initial investigation to figure out what's under the ground, and then this is all coordinated with DEC, and then they've got this pretty rigorous cleanup that's going on actively while they are in the midst of renovating. Doing interior demolition and eventually doing the construction, because they're going to turn it into 72 apartments.
Wow.
Yeah, and a couple of them will have kind of penthouse views, so to speak.
Sure. Premiums.
Yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. And it's in an area of Rensselaer that I think most people wouldn't think to drive there.
No way.
But if you know where the Doane Stewart School is,
it's easy to get to.
It is. It actually is.
It's right off of I-90.
Yeah.
And it's kind of the zigzag of streets to get down there from Doane Stewart.
And it's completely separate from Rensselaer, from the city itself. It's so remote from where everything else is.
Yeah, it is. Yep. It's still within the bounds of Rensselaer, but you're right. It's a little bit further north from where some of this redevelopment has happened, directly across from the Dunn Memorial Bridge.
Right.
Where you see some new apartments that have been built there. Yep. So this I think will kind of help complement it. And then the new Livingston Avenue Railroad Bridge, which is going to be built, over the next several years.
Yeah.
That's actually going to have a bike path or a walking path that'll kind of empty out onto the Rensselaer side, not too far from where this development is going, or where the shoddy mill is being redeveloped.
Okay.
So there's a nice tie-in there. One of the other interesting features is there's actually CSX rail tracks that run right in front of the building, between the building and the river.
Yeah.
And I was told that I think it's 2 or maybe 3 times a week, a CSX rail train will actually move slowly down those tracks, and it dead ends in Troy, picks up whatever material, and then turns around and makes its way back out toward Rensselaer. So if you're living in these apartments, you're going to see this old freight train pass by couple times a week.
It's kind of cool.
That's a different kind of look.
Yeah, it's definitely a different look. Did they give you? Before I didn't make this announcement, and I should have. If you guys have interest in talking about this story with Mike and myself, give us a call. 518-476-5900. There's a call-in show. If you know a little bit about history of the shoddy mill, or trying to figure out exactly where that property is, because we're trying to paint the picture on radio, which isn't always easy, give us a ring, 518-476-5900, and Mike and I will answer any questions you guys have. Mike, did they give you any indication of rent prices on where they estimate rents are going to?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
That was still a little preliminary.
Okay.
But with market rate apartments nowadays, typically, you're looking at, $1,300-1,500 a month and up.
Yeah, I was going to say they're not going to be cheap. Not going to be cheap, especially. I would imagine they're going to have some sort of loft style to them when they renovate those.
Yeah, I'm not exactly sure what the individual units will look like.
Yeah.
But they're they've got obviously a lot of plans that they're going to be moving forward with there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Outside of the incentives, the grant and the IDA incentives, did they find traditional bank financing for this, or was this self-funded, or did they not indicate?
I don't know what bank financing was involved, but the fact that they were able to get this other financial assistance certainly helped, made the project financially viable.
Got it. Okay. Well, listen, we're coming up on the break here. I got a couple more questions for you, Mike, and I kind of want to talk about the Albany side of the Hudson a little bit, and touch on that when we get back from the break.
To schedule an appointment with John Bevilacqua to help you buy or sell your home, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. John will be right back with more of the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show here on Magic 100.5 and AM 590.
Buying or selling the place you call home can be stressful. When you have questions, you don't want to wait for answers. Well, for 20 years, Kim Salerno and her team at Salerno Law have built a solid reputation with buyers, sellers, and real estate agents as fast, respectful communicators. They know Salerno Law will protect their rights and respond quickly when a question arises. Trust Salerno Law. Call 518-309-3404 and check out their 5-star reviews at SalernoLawNY.com.
Hi, I'm Matt Moore from Moore Insurance Services in Clifton Park. Let me take the stress out of quoting your home and auto insurance. We represent over 10 companies, which allows us to find the best coverage at the best prices. We've been helping families in the Capital District save money on their insurance for over 10 years. You can count on a quick turnaround as well as great communication every time. Give me a call at 518-280-1452 or go online to mooreinsurancesvc.com and experience the difference. That's mooreinsurancesvc.com.
If you're buying or selling your home and would like to schedule an appointment with John, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show and your host, John Bevilacqua.
Okay, guys, we're back. Thanks for staying tuned to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty radio talk show where we're sitting with Mike Demasi, longtime journalist for on real estate, both commercial and residential. Mike's been covering that beat for years now for the Albany Business Review. And hey, we just covered some key points in a historic redevelopment project right on the shores of the Hudson River on the Rensselaer side that an old mill's getting converted into 72 market rate apartments with some retail and possible boat slips or water concept there just because you're so close to the river. But I want to talk about the Albany side a little bit. Before we get into that, guys, I want to just let everybody know that, hey, summer's over. It's fall's creeping in here. The fall market is upon us. And if you're looking to sell your home and you want to take advantage of that fall real estate market, we got some options for you. You definitely want to talk to me or talk to us about our price guarantee. So if for some reason we're not able to sell your house at your price and in your time frame, we'll either pay you the difference. And again, this is all in writing, guys. We'll either pay you the difference on a price that we agree upon, or if you really get in a pinch, we'll just simply step in and buy the house for cash. And all this is in writing. It's part of our guaranteed sale plan. Now, option 2, if you're simply looking to just cash out, you've got a short timetable, you might be relocating or moving into senior housing. We can make multiple instant cash offers on your house where you don't have to do a thing. No repairs, no painting, no decluttering. And we can arrange it where you can even stay in your home for an extended period of time, even after it's sold, while you're either shopping for your next house or you're waiting to maybe move into your new loft apartment on the shores of the Hudson River in the shoddy building. Doesn't really matter. Wherever you're going. I really like that program that we offer where you can stay in your house, Johnny. It's awesome for people because it just gives it gives you so much time to figure out your next move. So
that's important. It really is.
Yeah, and listen, we're not making lowball offers. Okay, like these aren't wholesale offers that we're giving people. These are at market or close to market pricing for the house. Right, and it's a free service, and really it depends on how your home matches up to our cash offer program. There's no obligation to sell. And our price range starts at $25,000 and goes up to $3 million. So everybody's house pretty much qualifies. Right. And we're not just looking for ugly houses. These are everybody's house. It could be an ugly house. It could be a beautiful house. Yeah. It's just a solution for people to get out quick and not really have to do much. So if you guys want to know how that works, give us a call, 957-SOLD. That's 957-7653. And we can talk to you more about our cash offer program. So with that being said, as my little soapbox there, I do want to remind you guys, if you're looking to call into the show and you want to talk to me and Mike and you want to talk about waterfront development on the Rensselaer side or the Albany side, you just want to talk real estate, give us a call, 476-5900. That's 476-5900. So, Mike, we talked about the Rensselaer side, Albany side of the Hudson, and we touched on this the last time you're on the show with the soccer stadium, and it's that crazy can of worms, the 787 overpass. It's really hogged Erastus Corning kind of put us in a pickle here by putting all, the pro cars back in the 50s and 60s or whatever era that was. Now he choked out pretty much all the waterfront on the Albany side of the river. Does this go away? Are we ever going to see the end of the can of worms?
Well, the state released some preliminary findings, I think maybe a month or 2 months ago, about this big study that they're doing, like what they call reimagining the future of 787. And there are a bunch of concepts that, are being floated. They're still in the process, I think, of getting feedback on that. And obviously they're going to have to start coming up with some hard cost estimates, for different options. Because if you're talking about dismantling, part of the freeway or burying part of the freeway, I mean, it's just astronomical cost. So nothing has been decided along those lines. It's just kind of that process is just kind of still kind of inching forward, but at least we do know now that the Central Warehouse will be demolished. The governor announced a $10 million grant that will go toward paying what's estimated as a $13 million cost for taking that building down.
Any date on that, Mike?
Well, they said that it would probably take about 10 months to complete.
Right.
The initial stages is they've got to remove the asbestos.
Yeah.
Before they start actually taking that building down.
A lot of nasty stuff in that old building.
Yeah, so that'll be pretty remarkable, I think, when it does finally come down. Because we've all been so accustomed for so long to seeing that thing there. And then when it's not there anymore,
it's going to be strange.
It really will be.
It will be.
I'm not going to say we're going to miss it.
We're not going to miss it.
No, we're not going to miss it.
But it's definitely going to be a hole in the skyline, for sure.
Yeah. And it's kind of, I think, kind of open up a little bit more of the, the other landscape.
Oh, sure.
In Albany as you're going north or south on 787. And then, what's going to happen next there? What ultimately could be redeveloped on that site. Yeah. Because, part of the old Erie Canal lock system is actually buried underground near the Central Warehouse. Right. And one of the concepts that was looked at as part of the 787 study was, well, what if we unearth, that old lock system there? And that could be like a neat waterfront feature for people.
It's been done in other towns all across the state.
Yes.
Where they would unearth maybe just a small section.
Sure.
And put up a sign, and it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Certainly I think it would be a nicer thing to go visit or see than what we've been looking at now for decades.
Who's ultimately going to own that footprint, so to speak?
Right. So it's going to revert back.
Redburn gave it back, so now it's
well, Redburn still has it, but it's going to revert back to Albany County. Once the demolition is finished. So it'll be up to the county to kind of figure out what's our redevelopment plan moving forward at that point. So, none of this stuff happens fast.
No, it doesn't. No, it doesn't. Right.
That's true.
And when you're kind of sitting there watching it, it's like sap flowing out of a tree, right? It's like,
I
drip, drip, drip.
I kind of exaggerated that. Yeah, it's a long time to take that thing down, but how long did it take to build? Right. So maybe 10 months to take it down in comparison to the 2 years that it took to build.
Yeah, or how long it has stood there.
Right.
As something that people have just grown to just really hate.
Yeah. Well, speaking of vacant land and sites of old buildings, Johnny, let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Would you be interested in living in a tiny house, like a 500 to 800 square foot house? Would that be something that you'd look?
I think it's interesting to look at. I've watched those tiny house shows on HGTV.
Okay.
Would I ever live in one?
No. Okay. All right.
No. Claustrophobia to the 10th power.
To the 10th. Okay.
But there are some people that love them.
Sure.
I don't know. It was a big deal a few years ago. Is it still?
I think it's definitely still a big deal in some parts of the country. And kind of where I'm going with this.
Right.
Mike just put out a great article about a tiny home concept that this is total infancy, right, Mike? This hasn't been approved.
Right.
There's an old, I think it's the Leonard Hospital up in Lansingburg.
Yes, that is.
The old was demolished.
It was demolished, right?
Finally demolished.
So fill us in, Mike.
Years?
Fill us in a little bit.
Yeah. So the city of Troy, put that property up for sale, and they got an offer to purchase it for $275,000 by a development team that includes Anthony Gucciardo and Anthony Casal. And their concept for it is to take that land and put up about 85 to 95 of these tiny homes. And as you said, John, they'd be about 500 to 800 square feet, but they would be rentals.
They'd be rentals.
Yeah, which is not...
And we're going to get into that right after a quick sponsor break.
To schedule an appointment with John Bevilacqua to help you buy or sell your home, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. John will be right back with more of the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show here on Magic 100.5 and AM 590.
Buying or selling the place you call home can be stressful. When you have questions, you don't want to wait for answers. Well, for 20 years, Kim Salerno and her team at Salerno Law have built a solid reputation with buyers, sellers, and real estate agents as fast, respectful communicators. They know Salerno Law will protect their rights and respond quickly when a question arises. Trust Salerno Law. Call 518-309-3404 and check out their 5-star reviews at SalernoLawNY.com.
Hi, I'm Matt Moore from Moore Insurance Services in Clifton Park. Let me take the stress out of quoting your home and auto insurance. We represent over 10 companies, which allows us to find the best coverage at the best prices. We've been helping families in the Capital District save money on their insurance for over 10 years. You can count on a quick turnaround as well as great communication every time. Give me a call at 518-280-1452 or go online to moreinsurancesvc.com and experience the difference. That's moreinsurancesvc.com.
Buying or selling the place you call home can be stressful. When you have questions, you don't want to wait for answers. Well, for 20 years, Kim Salerno and her team at Salerno Law have built a solid reputation with buyers, sellers, and real estate agents as fast, respectful communicators. They know Salerno Law will protect their rights and respond quickly when a question arises. Trust Salerno Law. Call 518-309-3404 and check out their 5-star reviews at SalernoLawNY.com.
If you're buying or selling your home and would like to schedule an appointment with John, call 518-957-SOLD or go to johnnyhasthebuyers.com. Now back to the Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show and your host, John Bevilacqua.
Okay, guys, we're back. Mike Demasi and myself just covered some cool topics. I think we unfortunately ran out of time again. It never fails. It's like, I know. But I think this tiny house project is worth talking about on the next show. And I think by then, Mike, we will probably have maybe a little bit more solid of a decision from the city of Troy if they're going to actually kind of green stamp
depending
this.
on the pace that this thing moves forward.
Yeah.
The wheels of government grind slowly, so we'll see.
It does. But to kind of summarize the show, there's at the end of the day, the Capital Region's got a lot of stuff going on. There's tons of development happening. It seems like we're always on a growth pattern here. Am I wrong, Mike?
Well, let me put it this way. There's no shortage of stories for me to write every day.
That's right.
There's actually more stuff for me to do than I have time to do. So that's a good thing as a reporter. Well, you always want to be busy. You always want to be, finding out what the news is.
Okay. Well, give us if anybody wants to talk to you about an article or if they have a story for you to write on, how do they get a hold of you, Mike?
Yeah, so they can just Google like Albany Business Review to get to our website.
Okay.
Or just send me an email at mdemasi@bizjournals.com.
Awesome. Well, Mike, we want to thank you for coming on again.
Thanks for having me.
Next couple of weeks, we'll have you on one more time. And hey, you guys are not going to want to miss next week's show. I believe we have a new guest coming on, so I'm just kind of getting the confirmation. Hopefully, on Monday or Tuesday. And we'll have new guests, a lot to talk about. I can't promise what the topic's going to be as of yet, but just tune in. And we thank you guys for tuning in. Have a great Saturday afternoon.
The Your Home Sold Guaranteed radio show is presented by Your Home Sold Guaranteed Realty, the property shop. Join broker and founder John Bevilacqua every Saturday morning at 8:30 to hear about the latest real estate trends here in the capital region, where to find the best mortgage rates, home insurance, home warranties, and more. To speak to John about buying or selling your home, call now to schedule an appointment. 518-957-SOLD. That's 518-957-7653. Or go to JohnnyHasTheBuyers.com. That's JohnnyHasTheBuyers.com.